Hello everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how to clean your armour. So if you have armour, as you'll know, if it's steel and you haven't been able to afford titanium or stainless steel the first time round, it will rust. As you can see here, we've got quite a bit of a build-up of rust around there. Outside it's not too bad, but there is quite a bit of rust. You can tell it's been a little bit neglected. So it's pretty easy to clean it. You can get a nicer finish if you have like shiny silver metal polish or whatever, but you don't really need any of that stuff. I just go for a sponge, possibly like one of these rough dishcloth things. You could use steel wool if you want to, if it's really rough, and just a regular cloth as well. I'm going to start out with just a little bit of baking soda and vinegar. So baking soda makes a great aggregate for just working off the rough stuff, and then vinegar makes a nice little bit of a cleaner to get the rest of the stuff off. So what I like to do first is just get a little bit of vinegar and just put a little bit of this into a sponge or whatever else you're going to be using to rub onto the thing. Now one thing you've got to keep in mind is as soon as you put this vinegar on, it's going to start oxidizing the metal real fast, so you've got to be pretty quick, otherwise you'll just get rust building up again. We're going to start off, and it's great at just ripping quite a bit of the initial layer of rust off of the armour here. As you can see, we've got some that's sort of ingrained, but there's stuff that's just lightly coating the top. Most of that you can get off just with a regular kitchen sponge or whatever. Also like to just go around and give a general rub off to all of the areas that I can. Don't normally do the inside until very end, because there's normally a black coating on the inside that sort of keeps it fairly rust resistant. But got to do the rims. Just do a nice little layer around here. Then I might come on with the pot scrub just to get a little bit more of a coarse rub on there. Got to make sure you get into all these little bits of holes. Sometimes it eats in if you've neglected your bevel like I have here. It'll eat in. Also, another tip is that if you rub in multiple directions, it's going to be much less shiny. So if you want it to be really shiny, you just want to rub in one direction. I don't really mind rubbing back and forward and all run in circles the first time, but if you're polishing it to get it shiny, you want it to just be running in one direction to get the ultimate mirror shine. But just for the purposes of cleaning, you can just do circles or whatever, and if you want to polish it properly, you go over it at the end, just rubbing in one direction all the way around in order to get a nicer finish. As you can see here, some of this rust is really eaten in, and not so good for the armour here. It's dug its way in, and it's just corroded a little bit of the armour here, but it's alright. We can fix it. It requires fairly constant maintenance, and at the end I'm going to use a little bit of grapeseed oil just over the top of the armour here, just to keep it from going rusty as fast after this basic clean. So you shouldn't, this one doesn't really need too much attention. It's not unsavable. I have seen armour in antique shops before that's just absolutely, well, it's been very neglected, and they call it an antique, but really it's just garbage that was printed off ages ago from some press or whatever. Just get this, and that looks alright. Next I like to go over with just a little bit of baking soda to get all of the little bits off and to really get into all those little crevices that have been eaten away at. Makes a good aggregate for digging in, which is just like it's like sandpaper, I guess. It's like using a very fine sandpaper. Let's go in here. You can actually use baking soda to clean your teeth if they're really plucked up. Wouldn't recommend doing it too often though, because it will eat away at your enamel unless you're using tooth mousse or something to recover it. Here we go. It's coming along. It's not perfect, but it's better than it was. Just go around all these corners here. You can probably skip ahead in the video a bit if you're tired of me just watching me rub pieces of steel with a pot scrub. But if you don't mind doing that, just watching this, you can stick around for the next who knows how long. And you can see there's a little bit here that's really sort of dug in there. Doesn't want to come out because it's sort of eaten in. It's made little channels of rust. Here we go. It's coming along. And then what I like to do is just give it a basic wipe down to wipe off all the vinegar and the baking soda that's just on the surface, so we don't get it rusting away. Vinegar will definitely rust your metal if you're not careful, but it's also good at eating off dirt and whatever else that you don't want on there. So now we've given it a basic little rub off to get rid of most of the rust. It's not perfect. You'd spend longer if you really wanted it perfect shiny, but this is okay for now. What I like to do is just get a little shot glass or a cup. You could use a bowl. Bowl would probably be better actually. Just get some grapeseed oil. The oil doesn't really matter what oil it is. You just don't want to use highly carcinogenic oils, like if you use motor oil or whatever, that stuff's going to give you cancer from rubbing off on you. So probably stay away from that one. But generally any sort of cooking oil will just do the trick. I'm just going to go ahead and rub some of this on here, and we're just making a little bit of an insulative barrier between the metal and the oxygen in the air, which wants so bad to corrode the metal and make little rust babies with all of the iron molecules. So to avoid that, we're just going to essentially put an oil condom on top of this metal here. This is probably not the nicest reference. I should have used another metaphor, but this will do the trick, and that way it's not going to rust as quickly. Will still rust, eventually it's going to wear off, but it's going to give it a little bit of extra protection, and it's not going to take away the shiny metal look. Obviously you sometimes get tempted to just use spray paint or something to cover it. You can use anti-rust, which it involves reacting with rust that's already on there though, so I don't really like to use that. But here we have it. It's a lot cleaner than it was. We've got a lot less rust around the rims here. Obviously on the inside it's not perfect. There's actually quite a bit of rust built up on the inside as well. I'm not going to worry about that just for this video. But that's how you basically clean it. If you wanted to, you could use just like a cloth or something and then varying degrees of aggregate, or you could use some fine sandpapers by grading. And what you would do there to get a shine, you'd pick a direction and you just keep it. So you just rub that way, the same way, every single rub, all the way around, up and down the whole thing, and you'd have a nice mirror shine. But this is shiny enough for me for now. So yeah, that's how you clean your armor. Make sure it doesn't get dilapidated and all rusty and old and horrible looking. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day. Goodbye.